Hi everyone, this is Shauna Charoso, RAYAC's Executive Officer, and this is my desk. In this monthly video blog, I go over questions that are coming across my desk every single day so that we can have much smoother real estate transactions here in York and Adams counties. And the question that I have today, as I've gotten a few times this past month, is if there is a sign in the yard, doesn't the property have to be in the MLS? And the answer to that question is, it depends. So, I know that sounds like an attorney's typical response, is it depends. And as you know, I'm not an attorney and I don't play one on TV, but I'm also not an employee of Bright MLS. But I wanted to give a little bit of background about what happens when a sign goes into the yard and when that needs to go into the MLS. So, a couple of things. First, backing up to just to answer the basic question of when can you physically put a sign in the yard. So let's deal with that issue first. So you cannot advertise a property for sale unless you have written permission to advertise. That's according to the Pennsylvania Real Estate Commission. You need to have written permission to advertise a property for sale. Also, the Realtor's Code of Ethics indicates that you need to have the consent of the seller before you can advertise a property for sale. It doesn't say written. Pennsylvania Real Estate Commission says it needs to be written. So what does that mean? Well, your written consent is the listing agreement. So if your listing agreement hasn't started yet, you cannot advertise a property for sale. So when does your listing agreement start? Your listing agreement, the answer to that is it could be two different answers. So if you're using the PAR's agreement of sale and you didn't fill in the listing agreement start date section, then it starts based upon the time when both parties have signed off on the listing agreement from PAR. However, if you filled in that listing agreement start date and you had that start date starting in 2 months from now, but you all signed off on it today, your listing agreement doesn't start until 2 months from now. And you cannot do any advertising on that property until your listing agreement starts in 2 months. So you couldn't put a sign in the yard now. You couldn't advertise it on social media until your listing agreement starts. All right, so we know we can't advertise until our listing agreement starts. So now that our listing agreement has started, when do I have to put it into the MLS? So that answer could be two different answers. So the first is, if you aren't doing any public advertising on the property, you can get it into the MLS within 3 business days. However, if you decide to put a sign in the yard or do any type of public advertising, whether that be on social media, a website, an email blast out to all of your clients, then you have to get it in the MLS within 1 business day. So 1 business day if you have that sign in the yard. So that's when I get that question is, if there's a sign in the yard, doesn't it need to be in the MLS? And I can't find it in the MLS. So they do have 1 business day to get it in there. So if you saw the sign go up on a Saturday, they would have until Monday to get that property into the MLS for that 1 business day. So there may be a little bit of lag time from when the sign went in the yard to when it appears in the MLS. But what if it's past that? What if you know it's been more than 1 business day? Then isn't that a violation of Bright MLS's rules and regs? Well, Bright MLS has an off MLS policy that they adopted. And the purpose of that policy is to ensure that there is the maximum amount of cooperation among all of the participants in Bright MLS. So you're agreeing that you're going to put all of your listings into Bright MLS. If you're going to do any type of public advertising, you can only do public advertising if the property is listed in the MLS and in 1 business day from doing that public advertising. So if you know that that sign has been in the yard and it's been more than 1 business day, what can happen? What should you do about it? You can file a complaint with Bright MLS, and how you would do that is you need to provide documentation why you believe that that property has been advertised for sale publicly, but it hasn't been put in the MLS. So what type of documentation? Well, if there's a sign in the yard, take a picture of the property, the sign, and the art and date, and say this has been in there since this date. It's been more than one business day, and it's not showing up into the MLS. Once you have that information, when you log into Bright MLS, there is a support button up at the top, and you can submit a case, and you would attach that documentation of the picture of the sign and indicate that the property has been publicly advertised, but it has not been in the MLS and it's been past that one business day. Now, what happens from there? So at that point, the Bright MLS Accuracy and Compliance Department, they do an investigation to determine whether or not there was a potential violation of Bright's off MLS policy. If they determine that there is, the listing agent could face a fine up to $5,000 by not having it in that MLS system within the one business day from publicly advertising the property. So it's very important that if you're going to publicly advertise a property, you want to get it into the MLS as timely as possible, especially within that one business day. So that's my helpful topic of the day. If there's anything, other questions that you're having or concerns that you want to have me address in this video blog, please feel free to reach out to me because my doors and ears are always open to you. Thanks so much and have a wonderful day.